sir, you could not bring a knife into the United States Embassy. And I said, people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gartesian, where I basically talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of moving to Armenia. You guys were talking and asking a lot about daily life and normal daily things that I do here in Yerevan. So here are a few clips of things that I did a few weeks ago. I hope you enjoy. Wait, before we begin, there are 3 topics that I want to talk about after the daily life and some of my adventure videos. One is going to be renewing your passport and how to deal with the embassy here in Armenia. The second thing is gym culture and some of my critiques and some observations that I've had about gym culture here in Yerevan, Armenia. And last is frequently asked questions specifically about the Russians that have come to Yerevan. So if you're interested in those topics, make sure you watch to the end. Voiceover, Gartesian, take it away.
Sorry about the audio, but this is the best I could do because I'm poor and can't afford a better one. This is my walk to work through Zaytun. I passed through some of these alleyways and stuff, got some cool abandoned cars, and kind of passed through some different interesting Soviet bloc buildings. When I filmed this, it wasn't spring yet, so the vines haven't grown in, but now this area is kind of super green and lush. This building cracks me up because it's the only one made of plastic siding that I've ever found in Yerevan. And I don't know why, but plastic siding just reminds me of home. This is one of my favorite buildings in Zaytun. It's super brutalist and Soviet looking. I just think it's really interesting. Now let's get to work, baby!
You want to pay rent? You want to get Starbucks? You better work, bitch. You want to get groceries? You want to feed your cats? You want to watch Netflix? You better work, bitch.
I sorta don't feel like playing my clarinet today.
Me and some of my coworkers decided to get some coffee during our lunch break this day. Cutting to the weekend, this is me getting off the bus on Gomitas to try and find Gold's Gym. My buddy was nice and let me be his guest. He has a membership to Gold's Gym, so this is me crossing, trying to find Gold's Gym because it's a little difficult to find because it's not on the main road.
Oh my god, there's a Soviet sink. Hello, darling.
These are some street action scenes on my way from Gomitas down to Gold's Gym. It's a few minutes walk. And of course there's a moika every 5 seconds everywhere you go in this city. So that big gray building in the distance, that's the Gold's Gym. I thought this self-service merit system coat hanging area was interesting. No one is at all concerned about theft. Apparently wellness centers have cafes and restaurants. I never knew that. I guess it's kind of normal here. To me, it's kind of weird to have like a place to eat, like a full-fledged restaurant in a gym, but it's normal, I guess, here. I'm sorry, but I will never get used to kilometers per hour on a treadmill. I'm still confused. This gym and also my gym have group classes. Sometimes they cost extra for a group class membership, but if you're interested in group classes, they do exist here. So if you want to pause the video and kind of look at the examples.
Mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shoot tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same. Cause that's what it takes.
Chores, washing up, cleaning up the apartment because it was filthy. I've watched this video 1,000 times and I still don't know what that sound was. And yes, I wash my sink when I'm done because I'm a psycho. No judging. Leave me alone. Okay, it's Sunday, so we are cleaning the apartment. What else do people do on Sundays, right? I know this sounds super cheesy, but one of my favorite things to do on Sunday mornings is laundry. Even on weekends when I sleep in, I get up pretty early, like 7 a.m., and there's nobody outside. It's just me, the birds, and the mountain cliff in the background. Also, for my American friends, if you're going to look for a dryer when you do your laundry, forget about it, because 99% of the laundry is done by hanging your laundry outside or a rack inside, so you have to be really in touch with the weather. Look how gorgeous this laundry setup is. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty proud of myself. Now we're on our way to Yerevan City, of course, taking the lovely trash pile at the Khach Maruk. And this just cracks me up. Have you ever seen so many ATMs in one place before? This gives me so much anxiety. So this haul is from the Banjereren. This isn't the Yerevan City stuff. This is basically from the local produce store. If you're from the East Coast, think of it as Produce Junction. The lady that I go to literally keeps adding more and more of these like dear sweetheart things to our conversations. I don't know why she's in love with me, but she does. This probably cost around 8,000 or 9,000 dirham. The reason why it's so expensive is because of the noosh, because of the almonds. If it wasn't for the noosh almonds, then it would probably be like 5,000 dirham. This is the following weekend, and I'm packing for an impromptu trip to Gyumri. My friend is originally from Gyumri, and she invited me to take me on the ride. So this is me packing for the weekend. Yes, I do work. This is the following weekend. I don't have one long vacation life. I wish, but that's not what the case is. This is us on the road to Gyumri. I have gone to Gyumri in a lot of different ways. I've gone with friends in a private car. I've gone by shared taxi. I've gone by bus, and I've even gone by train. Each one has its pros and cons. If you want to know about each pros and cons, let me know. But we went this time in her family's car, and it was really comfortable. We made a few pit stops along the way. When I made this video, it was right before spring weather came, so the trees and plants aren't in bloom. But right now they're pretty green out, so it's a lot prettier now than in this video. Do not judge this playlist of music. I did not choose the music. I did not have the aux cord. Please, it's not me. It's not mine. We made it to Gyumri. Let's go walk around. Oh, this is where I stayed, Loft. They have a hostel upstairs. If you've never been to Gyumri before, it's kind of known as the cultural and historical center of Armenia, even though It's not the most populated city. It's probably one of the most well-kept historical centers. And you cannot consider yourself a local unless you get one of the classic machine coffees. It's shitty, but it's classic. If you've been following my channel, you know that I'm obsessed with these lunchtime buffet-style self-serve kind of restaurants. The food is pretty cheap here compared to Yerevan, and it was really good, really delicious. And when I went on with my day, I checked into the hostel. Here's a little tour of the Loft Gyumri hostel. When I was there was only 2 guys that were checked in. Most of the beds were empty. You've got a portrait of a famous Armenian actor. Here was my bed that I chose, mostly because it was the most private and it had a direct view of the really large, cool window. You can see that they provide locks for the paharans. Here is the view. It's not the main square, but it's a really nice, cool view to look out to. It was all closed up when I first got there, so of course I opened all the windows right away. This is one of the 2 main squares. This square is more famous for the churches. The other square is famous for the government and university buildings. This is one of the shukas or the markets, bazaars, whatever you want to call it. Medina, I don't know. I got yelled at when I went to the end of this. It's not part, I didn't put in the video, but I took a video and part of a bread salesman got into the shot and he started yelling at me. I've never been yelled at on the streets before, so I was a little paranoid after this, but this is me walking through the market. This is the next morning, and I, of course, like always, get up at the ass crack of dawn. Don't ask me why, but this is a time lapse of the morning. I thought that we were like under attack by like tanks, but apparently it was just the like water cannon, the water like shooting trucks to clean the streets. So I was glad I was not going to be murdered that day. This is me working a little bit while I was waiting for things to open up in the city. Nothing in Hayastan is open before like 10 o'clock in the morning. And when I took this video, it was like probably 8:30 or 9 a.m. So I had a coffee. This is the kitchen in Loft. It's usually packed or really busy in Loft, but this is before anybody got there. So I kind of had the whole common area space to myself. So made some coffee, did some personal work, and did some work for my business.
I hope you enjoyed those few clips of my daily life and a few adventures that I went on in Yerevan, Armenia. The one thing that I wanted to talk about that's pretty important that I kind of went through before the last time we talked was renewing my passport when I was in Yerevan. Let's go back a few months. Before I was going to go back on vacation in America, I knew that my passport was going to expire soon. I had about 5 or 6 months left on my passport, my American passport, before it expired. When I was there, the only time I heard people talk about renewing their passport was when they're in the States and they send it out to basically, I guess, Washington, D.C. to be processed, but it takes like a few months. I said that's impossible because I need to return back to Armenia, so I can't send my passport for renewal while I'm on vacation because by the time I have to leave America, the process won't be done by then, so I can't enter Armenia again. So I called the State Department, basically in Washington, D.C., and I'm like, hey, I'm Gartes, I don't know what to do. I have like 5 months left on my passport. And this guy, he was really nice. I think he was from like Arkansas. He had a really like thick Southern accent. I guess his name was like, I don't know, Charles or something. He was like, where you're going? And I'm like, Armenia? He's like, well, I'm pretty sure there's an Armenian embassy out there. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, did you try talking to them? And I'm like, why should I do that? I don't even know what embassies are for. And he's like, yeah, that's like the whole point of us having embassies. You can do all that over there when you go back. And I'm like, oh, okay. I sound like a idiot. Thank you for letting me know, Charles. So he's like, so he's basically like, yeah, go there, ask them their process, and you can do all the paperwork while you're. He's like, actually, the process is faster if you do it through an embassy than doing it through the regular State Department in America, like on American soil. I was like, that's kind of weird, but I'm not going to complain because that totally works out for my benefit. So I come back to Armenia. I call the U.S. embassy in Yerevan, and I say, hey, how does this work? They first of all, the phone number on their website was correct, unlike Ovier. Second of all, they answered their phone, unlike Ovier. Third of all, what the woman knew exactly the answer to my question. Basically, she said you need to fill out the application, the renewal application. You need to bring, I think, either 2 or 3 passport-size photos. You have to bring the fee, and also, I think that's pretty much it. And your current passport, obviously, so that they can verify your information. There is walk-in hours. I'm gonna tell you the information that I use, but it might change by the time you're watching this video, depending on, how old this video is. But basically, there was walk-in hours Fridays, I think in the afternoon, like around 4 o'clock, like 4 to 6, or like 2 to 4, something like that. But basically, Friday afternoons, you don't need an appointment. You can just walk in with your application. So that's what I did. One day I took off from work and I go to the U.S. Embassy. It was the first time I go there. It's a little bit outside of Kenton. What the hell is this? It's a little bit outside of Kenton, but it's still in Yerevan. I took a taxi there. This thing's like a fortress. It's like gigantic. It looks big from the street, but when you get close, it's even bigger. As I'm walking up, I see like a group of people like waiting in front of the guard, and I'm like, okay, this isn't good. Once you see people waiting in front of guards, like, it's not gonna be a good time. So I wait my turn, and I go up to the guard, and I'm like, hi, like I'm looking for like the American Services Department, like the office that deals with American citizens. I'm not here as an Armenian, I'm here as an American. And he's like, do you have an appointment? And I'm like, actually, I was told that I don't need an appointment. They're walk-in hours. He's like, well, you can't come in unless you have an appointment. I said, well, actually, on the website, it says you don't need an appointment. It's just walk-in. He's like, sorry, you can't come in. And I'm like, what? So I said, no, hold on. I'm like, can you please talk to somebody inside from the American Services Department and let them know that I'm here? And he's like, hold on. So he calls somebody, and then he hands me the phone, and she's like, hi, can I help you? I'm like, yeah. I said, I'm here to renew my passport. I know it's walk-in hours from like around 4 o'clock on Fridays. She's like, okay, no problem. I'll tell him. So he lets me in. As I'm passing the gate, he's like, whoa, another dude, like out of nowhere. He comes, whoa, he's like, hold on. And I'm like, what? He's like, you can't go in with that. I'm like, with what? He's like, the backpack. I'm like, it's a backpack. Like, there's no rule on your website that says you can't come in with the backpack. He's like, it's too big. And literally, as he said that, another dude's leaving the embassy with like the same exact size backpack. And I'm like looking at him, I'm looking at the guy with the backpack, and I'm laughing. And then there's the thing about Armenia. If you start laughing, they'll just give up. So if they know that you're an English speaker and your Armenian's not good, and you just start like laughing, they kind of give up their whole like macho man thing. So he's like, okay, fine, go. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm right and you're wrong, so goodbye. So I'm going inside. So you go through the door, you go through the gate, you do this security check, and I'm a idiot. I completely forgot that like there's a security check, and my dumbass brought pretty much every illegal item that is possible. So she's like, okay, take out all the stuff in your bag, and literally every single thing on the paper that said what you can't bring, I had food, I'm not supposed to bring that. I had electronics, I'm not supposed to bring that. And she's like, sir, is this a knife? And I'm like, and I'm maybe. She's like, please put this away. Like, you're not supposed, you could not bring a knife into the United States Embassy. And I said, I'm sorry, I didn't know. So finally get past security, you go into a separate building, kind of through this courtyard, and there's one section for Americans, and then there's one section for like everyone that's non-Americans, like applying for other things. She calls me turn. She's like, hi, do you have your application? I said, yes. She's like, do you have your pictures? Yes. She's like, go pay over there. The fee was $130 US, and they take both US dollars and dirham, which is like really convenient. There's a real cashier, so you don't have to worry about having exact change. I think I paid in dirham, but I can't remember. And she gave me my change, and that was it. It was Fridays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. where you can drop off your application. You need to bring your current passport that is not expired. There's a little bit of a different process if it's already expired. You do your application. There was a little confusion with the address because I wrote my old address, not my new one, and they wanted me to change it. I brought my passport photos and the cash payment. And the woman was very nice. Everything that they told me on the phone and everything on the internet was correct. And she's like, great, you're done. And I'm like, that's it? Like, that took like 2 minutes. And she's like, yep. Because I'm still like scarred from Ovier. She's like, that's it. She's like, we'll email you in about like 2 weeks. She said it can take maybe longer or shorter, but in about 2 weeks it should be done. I said, all right, great. So I go home. Literally the next week, it was almost even 7 days afterward, and the American Embassy emailed me. They're like, hey, you're ready to pick up your passport. Come every Tuesday or Thursday, like from I forget, it was either the morning or the afternoon, but they gave you the time in the email. They say come back to the embassy Tuesdays and Thursdays at this time, and you can pick up your passport. So it was super easy. And I went back again. This time when the guard asked me, do you have an appointment? I lied and I said, yes, I have one. And I showed him the email. It wasn't technically an appointment, but it was just open hours to come in. So he called, so what they do is they call the inside, they say, hi, are you expecting this person for a passport renewal? They say, yes. He said, okay, you can go. Now this time I'm not a dumbass. I didn't bring any food. I didn't bring any electronics. I didn't bring any knives. I didn't bring any guns like before. You go in, they're like, hi, here's your passport, you're done. And I'm like, that's it? They're like, yeah. I asked a few questions because I was like, okay, while I'm here, I want to make sure I'm on that list for all American citizens. They're like, yep, we checked, you're on that list for the documented list of all the US citizens in Armenia, God forbid something happens. And also they gave me some advice on voting while I'm abroad. I completely forgot about absentee ballots. They were like, here's some directions, and make sure you talk to your state about your absentee ballot process because each state is a little bit different while you're living abroad. Really good information. So that's it. The second topic I want to talk about, I don't know how much, I didn't do my voiceover yet. I don't know how much in the voiceover I talked about gym culture, but here's a couple of really interesting things I learned about gym culture here in Armenia. I've been to a couple of gyms already, a couple of times before when I was here a few years ago, and this time I've been to a few different gyms, so I'm kind of seeing a change in the culture. First of all, I don't know why, but Armenians here, they don't like sunlight and they don't like windows. Every time there's a window, they cover it up, and sometimes even if the window doesn't have a curtain over it, it has like this privacy screen, so like the light is already filtered coming in, so it's already darker than it usually is. So a lot of gyms here are underground, so therefore there are no windows, or if it's not underground, they block every piece of natural light there is. There's very little natural light, very little windows, very little fresh air. I don't know why, but they also really have this fear of like opening doors and opening windows. I don't want to make it sound like I'm doing it right and they're doing wrong, but this is a cultural observation that I have, is that they don't wipe down equipment. In America, if you don't wipe down your equipment, that's a huge faux pas. That's a really big no-no. A lot of gyms also will like come up to you personally, like a staff member, be like, hey, I noticed you use that machine. Can you please wipe it down when you're done? And if you don't wipe it down, you kind of look like you're nasty. Here, it's not really in the culture to wipe things down. I'm not going to explain if one's good, one's bad, one's better, but they just don't wipe down equipment here. I still wipe down mine. What? I still wipe down mine, even though I feel stupid because I'm the only one wiping down equipment. If I'm using the elliptical or a treadmill or even weights, I'm still wiping down things. I just have to feel like, I don't know, hygienic. There's not really an emphasis on stretching here or like floor cardio. So if you ever go to like a gym in the States, like there's usually like a space to let you can like stretch, or you can do like maybe some floor cardio exercises, some core exercises, but like where you can lay a mat. In Armenia, I've been to a lot of gyms and there really is not real. Maybe they'll have like a small space that like 2 people maximum can use mats. But for example, this gym that I go to now, there's 20 mats. They have a lot of mats. There's so many mats, but there's no way more than 1 or 2 people can actually lay them out. And if you go during peak hours, forget about it. There is no room at all to do stretches. So if you're looking to do stretches or floor exercises or core exercises on the ground, you have to go during non-peak hours, super early in the morning, or like maybe like, I don't know, if you find a time for your gym that works out best. Also, they're very slow there. They take their time. I don't want to make it sound like in a mean way, but like, it's almost like social hour for them. They're talking, they're chatting, they're making jokes. Yes, they are working out, but like, it's not like they're profusely sweating, and they're not like, maybe in America we have this thing where we're trying to act like we're really working hard, and we're grunting and we're sweating and we're like dropping things like to make it sound like we're like really intense. I don't know what the truth is, but here it's very hungies. They see people they know, they're chatting, they're talking, they take their time on their equipment. It doesn't seem like everyone's really exerting a lot of like hardcore, like extraneous types of exercises. It's very chill. If that's what you like, then cool. If it's not what you like, then be aware. Lots of hellos, lots of goodbyes. Oh, in America, you never say hello to everybody when you first walk into a into a changing room, into a locker room. When I here, it's more like when it's like not so busy, when it's a little more like you walk in and like they look at you and you look at them and you say like "Baredzas, body lois, volkjoin," like blah blah blah. In America, you don't really greet people when you walk into a locker room. That's like weird. But here, I notice it a lot, especially when I go in the morning. When you walk in, the guys will say like hello to everybody. They'll like ask everybody how they're doing, even though they might not, maybe they're regulars and they do know each other. But I've been going for a few days at the same time, and there's a guy that walked in. I've never seen him. He's never seen me, but he still like says hello to everybody. It's not a big deal, but like it is an interesting like cultural change. And also they love the shower rooms here. I don't know why. They are nice, don't get me wrong. Like the shower rooms in the gyms that I've been to here, especially like the wellness centers, not just like the like grimy underground like local gyms, but like the bigger wellness centers. They have really nice showers, but like boy do they love shower rooms here in Armenia. In America, like when I went to my last couple gyms, especially like Planet Fitness, nobody, I mean, I shouldn't say nobody, but very rarely did anyone ever use the shower rooms. If people went into the locker rooms, they were in and out, like they just locked up their phone or whatever, locked up their backpack, and they got out there in like 10 seconds. Everything's social hour here. When they go to the locker room, they're having chit chats, they're taking their time, they're doing their hair, they're doing their cologne, they're like checking their email. Maybe the difference because here at this gym and at the last one that I went to, there's a pool and like they encourage taking a shower before you go into the pool, and obviously you have to take a shower after you go to the pool. So maybe that's a big reason, but like I've never seen a locker room and a shower room so busy than here before at this time. The last thing I want to talk about, number 3, are some frequently asked questions that I've been getting in the comments, and also just things that my friends and family have been asking me since the last time I uploaded. The one thing is, a lot of people are talking about this still, is the Russians, Ukrainians, and Belarusians that have moved to Yerevan, Armenia, since the war broke out in Ukraine. The majority of people that have moved here are from Russia, but there are some, I don't know if it's a couple hundred or a couple thousand people from Ukraine and Belarus also in Armenia. The biggest negative effect that it has had, that most people have already talked about, is the housing market. The housing market has been going crazy, mostly in Yerevan. Housing prices have really gone up. Rent prices have really gone up. Yerevan right now, you can pretty much rent an apartment here for the same price as like a lot of major cities in Europe, which is crazy. So rents have skyrocketed with this huge new demand. But the positive thing is that a lot of companies now have more people to pick from when it comes to open jobs and open positions, especially for these specialized IT jobs. Even my own company, we've interviewed a few Russians that have moved to Armenia because they have a lot of specialties that we just can't find with the local market here, or instead of training somebody new. So the biggest positive would be more specialized people, especially in the tech field. They can fill voids in the job market that are desperately needed. But the biggest con is the housing market. A lot of people are still afraid, and they're not really sure what's going to happen with rent prices. It's kind of scary. Thank God I have a couple more months left on my contract, my rent contract, so I don't have to worry about it like right this second. But it is something that's looming on a lot of our minds that are renters here. Before we end this video, I do want to remind you that I have a open referral with Google Fi. If you're thinking about coming to Armenia or moving abroad, I suggest looking into Google Fi. I replaced my old American number from Verizon with Google Fi. It's cheaper per month, and I can keep my American number and still get those 2-step verification text messages, or still check on my voicemail from America. My referral is active. If you want to use it, you'll get a discount, and also it helps support me, my channel, and this journey. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Bye.